I discovered an awful lot of things in this book that I was not aware of.
I lost some sleep last night because I was leafing through it, and I found it amazingly interesting. The aim of the WTO Chair Programme is to build academic capacity in developing countries in order to improve policy making on trade. For the last 4 years, it has supported curriculum development, research and outreach activities by universities and research institutions.
The work accomplished since the inception of the program has been impressive in our judgment.
We asked the 14 chairs of our chair program a year ago to write a chapter, write a paper on challenges their country faces when they try to connect to global markets. And you will find in this book what they decided to write about. The fact that we would get field-level evidence, country-level evidence, country-specific information from each of these 14 countries, I think is very useful for policy making in Geneva and more generally for policy making at a global level.
The book is a clear testament to the diversity of developing countries and their trade interests and capabilities. When you label a country a developing country, that only tells you part of the story. It doesn't tell you the full story. We need to look a lot closer if we want to understand the real picture.
Nosotros elaboramos un estudio sobre los requisitos sanitarios y fitosanitarios para exportar productos agrícolas al resto del mundo. Esos estándares se han multiplicado en los últimos años. Hay estándares públicos, estándares privados, estándares obligatorios y estándares voluntarios. En particular, lo que descubrimos, así en términos generales, es que no hay un modelo institucional para llegar seguro al desarrollo. En realidad, lo que hay son experiencias concretas que te muestran aspectos positivos o virtuosos para lograr mayor innovación y mayor acceso a mercados. El paper contrasta dos ejemplos que tuvieron derroteros muy distintos. El caso de las manzanas, Argentina era muy exitosa, tercera exportadora mundial y viene en decadencia hace 10 años. El caso del arroz es exactamente el contrario. Estaba muy mal en los 90 y ahora se ha convertido en una de nuestras principales exportaciones a Brasil. La diferencia está en la construcción institucional de ambos casos en relación a los estándares sanitarios. En un caso no hubo upgrading de estándares y en el otro hubo una política articulada de privados y públicos para upgrade esos estándares.
Although the East African community and Kenya in general have tried so much in progressing in the integration, there are still quite a number of challenges that they are facing. And most of these challenges are mainly to do with non-tariff barriers, and mostly in terms of administration and regulations, in terms of procedures and licenses that are required. And of course, this usually makes the transaction costs very, very expensive. In most cases, there are weigh bridges and load blocks. Weigh bridges are usually mainly to check on the weight, on the weight of the goods that the trucks are carrying, and also to make sure that no tampering has been done to the goods. My recommendation would be to make sure that there is harmonization. For example, if it's goods that are coming from Uganda to Kenya, we harmonize the documentation procedures. We also come up with one customs window so that if you declare all your documents at one point. I would also recommend that we also, countries such as the East African community, come up with a common transport policy.
Cette étude qui a été dirigée par le professeur Amadou Alimbaï, doyen de la faculté des sciences économiques et titulaire de la chaire OMC à Dakar, a démontré qu'au Sénégal, l'agriculture employait aujourd'hui 60% de la force de travail. À l'intérieur de ce secteur agricole, il y avait un sous-secteur horticulture qui était en tout cas porteur d'avenir. L'étude aussi a montré que les exportations de produits agricoles dans les pays en voie de développement étaient en tout cas freinées par une série de problèmes. La non-observance des normes espèces sanitaires et phytosanitaires. Il y avait aussi des problèmes de calibration et il y avait également des problèmes d'utilisation abusive des pesticides. Or, à côté de la compétitivité prix, on a trouvé qu'il fallait prendre en compte également la compétitivité qualité. La compétitivité internationale ne se joue pas seulement au niveau des prix. Il faudrait intégrer vraiment la variable qualité si on veut vraiment booster dans l'avenir les exportations. Et ça, c'est un élément fondamental.
From a point of view of Russian foreign trade, obviously Russia's accession to the World Trade Organization is something which is very significant. We didn't expect any serious, substantial changes of the trade patterns in a short run. In a longer run, at the same time, it will largely depend upon how, first of all, business would react. And there it will be able to adjust. Both business and authorities, they have to realize that they have to do some kind of homework. That means, first of all, try to get sufficient knowledge of the process. Trade policy with all its significance, as well as WTO accession with all its significance, is just a certain part of the whole game. So to be more, in a way, cooperative in terms of relations between different ministries and agencies, that is, from my perspective, is very significant.
Geography is unkind. Many countries around the world have limitations with regards to land, labor, or capital. Singapore is a player for the ASEAN region, and in the ASEAN region, the great difficulty is getting enough capital resources. Why would investors want to invest in ASEAN for integrated production base when they can go to China or India, which are their own integrated production bases? Well, there's a belief in creating international linkages, international agreements, and through that create a rule of law in whereby investors will feel confident that regardless of the domestic environment, they would be able to have their investments, their trade protected. You can use international agreements to encourage domestic reforms. If you focus on that, then using that principle, reform by using a process of constant improvement to encourage foreign direct investment, and through foreign direct investments, global value chains, and through global value chains, trade, and of course with trade, inevitably more jobs. This would be a very effective way for countries to deal with the supply side constraints, particularly where they have no markets or no natural resources to attract investors otherwise.